Afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Watch this with Joe and Kevin minus Joe back for the sixth episode of For All Mankind. I expected the last episode going in to be kind of a fun episode where we spent a lot of time in space with Ed and with Molly, and we did, which was utterly fantastic. Of course, everything looked good. Of course, the stakes were high. Um, and I'm not going to lie, the recoiling down into the very deep crater on the moon, like watching, like I knew watching that Molly was going to be okay. She's too good of a character to lose just like that at this point of the show. Not that it can't happen. We've seen it happen with characters, but that point where she goes over the ledge to repel down 100 meters, and the cave, of course, the cave, I call it a cave, the crater goes at least, what was they say, three times as deep as the Grand Canyon, so a couple miles deep, and you can't see anything because it's in complete blackness and shadow where she kind of descends down into it. That was stressful. Like I have a problem with heights as it is, real heights, and that kind of thing would have been too much for me. So that was really tough. Um, but of course, the big moment, I think you would agree, would be the end of the show, the very last scene where we cut forward 2 years, which I didn't expect because we haven't had those kind of time jumps on the show. Really, not significant enough to where they had to call it out, right? Of course, Apollo mission to Apollo mission to Apollo mission. There's some time in between, so you assume there's a little bit of passage of time. But jumping forward 2 years, and to see that being this, what I'm assuming are the first stages of building a lunar base, what they call it, Moon Lab, as a adapted Skylab landing on the moon, and I'm sure they're going to build more around it because it was small, but it was Nixon's opportunity, right, to say we were first. So I'm assuming the Soviets haven't put anyone there yet. I'm kind of curious what it's going to look like when they do. If there's going to be conflict or potential conflict, literally on the surface of the moon. Obviously, it's a big place. You would think they'd be able to avoid each other, but I guess it all kind of depends on if the water's everywhere, or if the Americans have gotten to the one spot, the one really good feasible spot of the water that maybe the Soviets might want to be relatively close to as well, and what that kind of proximity is going to look like. I only mention it because I assume that's going to be the case, right? I think the tensions are going to get high in later on in this season or later seasons with having the two moon bases of the two world superpowers really close to each other. So I'm kind of excited to get in, especially now that we've jumped ahead in time. How what's changed as far as like this, who's going to the moon, who's not, what the structure of NASA might look like. If like Margot has been promoted or something, or any number of things that could change just based on that time jump. Are Tracy and Gordo still together? These kind of things that might be problematic based on what we know about the characters, how they've been on the show thus far. Before we, excuse me, before we hop in here, I want to thank all our Patreon subscribers and give a particular shout out to deluxe patrons, Actuarial Lurker, Balas Full Days, Chris, and NJ. Thank you so much, folks. We're super happy you're here with us. If you'd like to see a full reaction to this, the link to our Patreon page is in the description below. Looks like a news feed. Okay, so this is even a year after that. It said 73 for when they landed it. Now we're in 74.
Gene Kranz, the new director of Johnson Space Center, deigns to visit us common working stiffs.
Jamestown base, this is Houston, patching you into the big board. Do you read over?
Well, that's really cool. Okay, so Ed's there.
Cigars.
Okay, Gordo's there.
I'll keep
Is that
it brief,
Danny too?
Gordo, because today, a woman becomes one of our flight directors for the very first time.
Is it Margot? They haven't. Yeah. Or is it a fake out? It might be a fake out to not be Margot.
Irene Hendricks.
I called it. I said it's probably going to be. It felt like Margot, but I thought this might be a fake out.
That bird was supposed to get here 2 weeks ago. Day one, already behind, Irene.
We are down to the final minutes in the vote
Equal
to
Rights
ratify
Amendment?
the Equal Rights Amendment.
Is it actually going to pass in the show? Because it didn't pass in the. It's still not passed.
Supporters had actually written off the state of Illinois until Republican Governor Ogilvie threw his support behind the amendment, and the vote is yay.
This show is better than reality.
I think we're looking at a bad actuator.
I hold in my hand the prime crew of Apollo 24. And as chief of the astronaut office, I'm assigning
Yep.
Deke Slayton to prime crew on Apollo 24.
Well, they're not psychopaths. They blew up some toilets with cherry bombs. It's a prank, and they'll be punished for it. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I can assure you I will handle it from here.
I'm hungry. Do they still have those double-decker cheeseburgers?
Look out, kitty. No one noticing this? So we just killed off not only major characters, but ones who were real people. Like historically real people. I mean, not only that, but you're still going to have Ed and Gordo and Danny still stuck on the moon, right?
60 days have now passed since the shocking explosion of Apollo 23.
To identify the cause of the Saturn V explosion.
Yeah, because they can't just throw up another one.
But why is the FBI still going down this rabbit hole?
We know the cause. And it wasn't some
Yes, it's
Russian
been 2
secret
months.
agent.
If an astronaut had died on that pad, there'd be a hell of a lot more than a plaque and a picture. Picture and a plaque, and then back to happy days and $6 Million Man.
He's probably right.
He talked to one of the security guards who said it was okay.
Did he?
Maybe Margot should make friends with her since she's so uptight around children.
The Board of Inquiry would like you to collect an outside report that was prepared on the Saturn explosion and bring it to us. 2 months ago, the board asked an outside experts to conduct a thorough analysis of the entire Saturn program.
It's not Werner von Braun, is it?
He will only give the report to you.
Yeah, von Braun.
The man is a war criminal. He should be prosecuted.
That is your opinion.
What is there?
Base, also
Oh, it is.
situated on the rim of Shackleton
Okay,
Crater,
it is
is
right
8
there on the same
miles
crater.
northwest of the American Jamestown base.
I put a deposit on that apartment.
You what?
Are they splitting up finally?
Why don't you move into it then?
Oh, so you and Sheila can finally have the house to yourselves.
You got permanent up here.
Mr. Wilson, are you familiar with an area of Houston called the Montrose District?
Is this a "are you gay" thing going on here?
So you've never been to an establishment called the Bayou Landing?
Ask my girlfriend.
There you go.
Ellen Waverly. Dating 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
3 years is an awfully long time.
Oh my god, this is so stupid.
He'll be talking to you eventually, and he's gonna be looking for ways to trip you up. Don't believe anything he tells you.
Come in, won't you?
Please tell me we're not here to talk about my father.
I tried to talk to you at his funeral, but you left without a word.
I'm not staying for dinner.
I believe I have a good burgundy to go with it.
I finished my Arrow of Light badge.
Get out of here. Really? Let's go some.
Just one night. Please, I really want to work on my race with Shane.
Is this not the same day as the vandalism? Because it didn't come up.
Why do you find it so hard to simply talk to me?
It has something to do with the 20,000 dead Jews at the camp.
I forgive you for all of your many sins. There. Are we done now?
I only want you to listen so that I can tell you things, important things your father wanted you to know. He loved you very much. You were the most important thing in his life.
Don't do that.
What is the big secret here?
You know what mattered to my father? His stamp collection. When I graduated college, you know what he did? He gave me a desk calendar.
Oh my god, that was brutal.
Your father worked on the Manhattan Project. He and I discussed the moral ramifications of the atomic bomb many times. I tried to tell him that he had saved millions of lives.
That's the other reality too, right?
It's the FBI and, oh, I don't know where this is going.
This.
And it's been at least 3 years.
Kissing girls is just a phase for you?
Maybe.
Oh, come on now. Don't do that to yourself.
And thank you for telling me.
What you did in the war,
It's not the same as what my father did.
I gave you that insight. I encouraged you, challenged you, and
This is all true, but her feelings are very valid.
In 10 years, I'll be running NASA.
No, you will not. You are not and will never be seen as a team leader.
NASA gave the contract for the valve to the wrong company for political reasons.
That the LH2 valve was manufactured by Kirkland Aerospace, a company located in Rockford, Illinois. Why give a contract to a company in Illinois? What was politically important about that state?
The Equal Rights Amendment.
The Equal Rights Amendment.
Wow.
But I knew every man on that tower.
It's nice that this contrasts the guy who said no one would care about the other 11, and he does.
It's just long days, never-ending maintenance. Love the Pinewood Derby. Yeah, I wish I could be there for that.
Yeah, he looks really tired.
And he said, well, isn't the limb right there on the surface and the command module waiting in orbit? I mean, that's their lifeboat. Just
You can't because there's a Soviet base 8 miles away.
what's with all the high Bob stuff?
Yeah.
It's, from the Bob Newhart show.
Will Dr. Von Braun's findings be included in the final report on the explosion of Apollo 23?
No, there's no way.
I am classifying this report as top secret as of this moment.
I made a copy.
I could have you arrested right now. What do you want?
Flight director.
There aren't any
He's in a-
openings on the red, white, or blue teams.
Make one.
Wow, Margot's just blackmailing her way up.
You need one of these.
Oh,
It's called a slide rule.
Oh, just like Von Braun did for her. That's really
I'm
cool.
seeing you in my office in 20 minutes, and I'll show you how to use it. You play the piano?
no.
You're gonna learn.
So she has a protege now, too. Yeah, Gordo's really going through it, isn't he? Isn't seeing the Soviets? I don't know how that's going to manifest itself, but it's definitely going to. Okay. Let's figure out. Sorry. Technical. Kevin. Man. Okay, so we got to see the first really ugly side of Margot because Margot's always seemed really straight laced, right? And always, kind of by the numbers, by the book, right? It's why she doesn't like Von Braun, because what he did was ethically despicable, and she doesn't go down those roads. But she kind of did here a little bit. She basically had some information that was too incendiary to release to the public, and threatened to do so if she didn't get what she wanted to benefit herself personally. Maybe she should be, she said what I deserve. Maybe she's right. Maybe she got passed over for the wrong reasons or whatever. But there's no way, right? There's no way to say that what she did wasn't completely self-serving and slimy. It was extortion. It's going to work, apparently. But it is completely extortion. So, I guess we're seeing a little bit more edge to Margot, and maybe for her personal growth, that's going to be a good thing, because then she went to Alita and was like, I'm going to be a mentor to you now. Start hanging out with me. I'm going to be more of a people person, at least with this one person. This is a different shades of Margot than we've ever seen before. And the other thing I'm looking forward to moving forward, obviously the Soviet presence is going to become an issue with just in terms of proximity, right? We saw it there at the end. And I'm kind of wondering if we're going to start getting a little bit of like cabin fever among Ed and Gordo and Danny. We didn't get much from Danny in that episode, other than the fact that she is not romantically interested in Gordo. No surprise there. They didn't seem like they were that close. But how was everybody going to kind of take it? It looked like Gordo and Ed are both really kind of cracking a little bit, or at least miserable. And we didn't see enough of Danny to know how she's feeling, but I mean, it's completely reasonable for her to be in the same boat, right? Um, I'm kind of curious how her husband's taking it because he wasn't doing so well the last time we saw him. Although I forget I said that actually. Now that I think about it, it's been 3 years. I'm sure he's fine. And now there's still no end in sight for them getting off of the moon. So I'm not sure how going forward they're going to handle it. Right? There's going to be limitations, especially when there was an expectation of how long they were going to be there. You're going up for this number of months. Now this thing happened. It was already late to begin with, and now you're staying for at least a couple more months, maybe several more months. So I don't know. I think we're going to see a little bit of inner turmoil becoming external turmoil for the three people on the moon moving forward. Um, but we'll see. I'm really curious to see how we handle that and how if those struggles kind of boil over with the proximity of the Soviets on the moon, right? Like you've got these two groups of people. Obviously, we're only seeing one of them living in an incredibly stressful situation that's really putting the thumb screws to them. And then the fact that they have an adversary that's only a few miles away from them, close enough that Gordon kind of ran into at least a work site for him. I kind of think that's going to be something we see moving forward, but I could be wrong. As always, this is a brilliant show. It's very captivating and fun to watch. I'll catch you next one, guys.